So now you see it, and now you don't. So why, and what comes next? Firstly, let me say that the GS is the consummate tool rounder, and the GSA is the all-singing and all-dancing version of that. If you're tall, confident, can handle its weight, it's an easy bike to live with. But mine is a couple of years old now and approaching 20,000 miles. After 2 or 3 years and 20,000 miles, generalising, bikes' residual values tend to go into freefall. So if I keep it much longer, it would probably pay to keep it for 5 or 6 years and increase the mileage north of 50,000 miles. And although I'm sure it could manage that without batting an eyelid, that's just not something I felt like doing. After owning 4 BMW GS's and 2 back-to-back, I just fancied a proper change. So I had a short list of 3 potential replacements. I'm going to tell you what appealed about each of them. First, let's talk about the 2021 Honda Goldwing Tour DCT. The Honda costs a lot of money, but it is a complete finished article. If there is a more iconic name or a more reliable engine, it must have passed me by. The paint and build quality excel, and as automatic transmissions go, only Honda have that properly sorted. For 2021, the passenger gets a better seat and the top case capacity has been increased. It might not make big peak power in terms of absolute numbers, but you're not looking in the right place. Literally at tick over or 1250 revs, it's already producing maximum torque, and that torque is held onto for its entire range. Nobody could complain that the Goldwing is peaky and its shaft drive remains hassle free. But it's not all comfort and sheer grunt. It has a beautiful clear dashboard running Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. When it rains, you can raise its electric windshield, and when home you can press Home Link to avoid standing in the rain. If you're shorter or weak of leg, or your garage is pretty full, you can use crawl mode to edge backwards and forwards at will. Yes, there are many good reasons why riders aspire to the Goldwing and class it as king of the road. Quite simply, it's a bit too big and heavy for the type of roads I ride and the ways in which I ride. Once in the twisties, I like to ride at a sportier pace that would not feel comfortable on such a behemoth. And in my state, you can traverse a paved corner at speed, only to find out that around the bend you're onto a forest road. And a bike of this vast size was never intended to get the blood pumping or handle gravel roads at speed. Second, let's talk about the 2021 BMW R1250RT. I believe that the RT was the first production bike to be fitted with a complete full fairing, and many decades have now passed and the RT has continually evolved into the classy Grand Tourer that it is today. There is perhaps no better full-blown Tourer than the RT, which feels lightweight next to, say, an Electric Glide or Goldwing. It's a very dynamic bike with 17-inch wheels. It makes the most of its healthy 135 horsepower, and there is no better windshield. For 2021, it's gained some sexier clothes, prettier eyes, and the mother of all windscreen TFT dashboards at 10 inches plus. Plus its air-ducted cooled storage bin now accommodates a full-size smartphone with wireless inductive charging. Its BMW connected media system has further room for improvement, but currently it's still the industry's best solution, as is the multifunction scroll and pivot select wheel that is mounted to the left handlebar. There is a very reassuring solidity about an RT that screams quality over unnecessary pizzazz. It's all killer and no filler in its ability to execute absolute functional delivery to the letter. For those who refuse to compromise on quality, convenience and thorough development, it's absolutely on the money. So why isn't the consummate Grand Tourer for me? While its efficiency and exacting execution is undeniable, it's also delivered in a clinical and almost sterile way. As a wise man once said, if it doesn't make you turn and look back at it longingly as you walk away, it's time for a new bike. As much as I have an absolute respect for the undeniable precision and efficiency BMW have put into the wonderful RT, at the end of the day, it commands my respect rather than branding desire into my very being. So let's talk numero uno. It's one that I have high expectation could well achieve the accolade Motorcycle of the Year. And yes, you've guessed it, I haven't been able to shut up about this bike since I first rode it, have I? It is of course the 2021 Ducati Multistrada V4S, and more specifically the full version with Enduro Pack. The full version benefits from gaining the sport colour scheme of red, white, grey and black, and in addition it gains a carbon fibre front mudguard and a road legal but lighter weight Kropovich exhaust canister. And the Enduro pack adds a metal skid plate, oil guard, engine protection bars, spotlights and a kickstand larger footprint. Now apologies to anyone who owns the grey version, but it's not to my taste. In my personal opinion, white or black would have worked much better. I do love Ducati red, I mean what's not to love, but the side panels are large and in silver it's a bit too much for me. I prefer them in red. The full version Sport scheme has red side panels, and the colour combinations just bricks it up a little for me, so I went with that. Some obvious reasons for choosing the Ducati include the incredibly silky smooth V4 engine and superb ride quality. In fact, its comfort, agility, stability, handling, fueling, switchgear, levers and brakes are all top drawer too. The screen is literally one finger adjustable, the TFT is super clear, and all switchgear is backlit for nighttime convenience. It's an incredibly safe machine too, featuring the world's first active cruise control and blind spot monitoring on a motorcycle. Its Bosch IMU also facilitates cornering ABS, traction control and wheelie control, among other safety and convenience settings. The electronic suspension defaults are thoroughly well thought out and completely tailorable via the menu options. Colour-coded lockable hard panniers are standard on the VS Radar and Touring models, as is the large tank pocket with USB socket, which is deeper than it is wide, so phone fitment may vary. Adventure bikes from BMW, Harley and KTM may look better value, but when their specs are built close to the Ducatis, they're all pretty similar. And we haven't even mentioned the best bit yet, which is of course the class-leading and totally phantasmagorical V4 engine. Of course some will bemoan the fact that it doesn't have Desmotronic valve control like the Street Fighter and Panigale V4, but perhaps they will soon forget that when services are only every 9,000 miles and the valve checks are an unheard of 36,000 miles apart. As the owner of a Street Fighter V4 and having ridden that back to back with the Multistrada V4, I can say it's a much more civilised bike. It's much smoother, quieter and simply isn't trying to kill you every 5 seconds. The Street Fighter is like when Tyson said, everyone has a plan and then you get punched in the face. It's not just aggressive, when that throttle is whacked open, it's violent, as only a lightweight motorcycle with over 200 horsepower can be. By contrast, the Multistrada is very civilised, slick and refined. It's been educated at private schools and is both physically fit and mentally smart. But don't think it's been too dumbed down and completely tamed. This is still a characterful 170 horsepower motorcycle after all. And that means on the road, it never feels stressed when cruising along in its mid-range, making very quick progress. Overall, it's designed to excel in covering vast distances while providing huge enjoyment and minimising all stresses on the body. It's designed for eating up the miles, but in a completely enthralling way. It's about the journey and not the destination. Riding a clinically efficient motorcycle is like watching a movie, but if your motorcycle has soul, it's like being in it. The 2021 Ducati Multistrada V4S gets an A for intelligence, safety, convenience, comfort, excitement and emotion. And for those reasons, it's my choice for my new practical ride for 2021 and beyond.
Hey you, if you want to become one of the Ride On people, don't forget to subscribe. Ride often, ride carefully, ride on.